Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Two names that, when uttered together, tend to elicit raised eyebrows and hushed whispers. Their dynamic has been the subject of countless headlines, debates, and even conspiracy theories. From the moment Trump took office, the world watched with bated breath, trying to decipher the true nature of their relationship. Their relationship, if you can even call it that, has been a source of endless fascination and speculation. Was it a genuine camaraderie or a strategic alliance? Were they merely using each other for political gain? Or was there a deeper connection at play? Are they best buds, bonded by a shared love of authoritarianism and golden showers? The media has often painted them as two peas in a pod, united by their unconventional leadership styles and mutual disdain for traditional diplomacy. But is that really the case? Or are they rivals, locked in a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess? Each move calculated, each gesture scrutinized. The stakes are high and the world is watching. Are they playing on the same team, or are they adversaries in a game where the rules are constantly changing? The truth, as is often the case, is probably somewhere in between. Their interactions have been marked by a mix of camaraderie and competition, cooperation and conflict. It's a relationship that defies easy categorization, much like the men themselves. But one thing's for sure, these two men have a history that has shaped not only their own political careers, but also the global landscape. From their first handshake to their most recent meeting, every encounter has been a piece of a larger puzzle. And it's a history that's as complicated as it is consequential. Their actions and decisions have had far-reaching implications, influencing everything from international relations to domestic politics. The ripple effects of their relationship can be felt across the globe. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive headfirst into the wacky world of Trump and Putin. It's a world where reality often seems stranger than fiction, where the lines between friend and foe are blurred, and where the stakes couldn't be higher. This ain't your grandma's diplomatic summit. Forget the formalities and the carefully crafted statements. This is a roller coaster ride through the highs and lows of one of the most talked about relationships in modern politics. Well, unless your grandma's really into Cold War-era spy thrillers, because let's face it, there's more than a hint of espionage and intrigue in this story. It's a tale that could easily be ripped from the pages of a best-selling novel, in which case she's probably already got this whole thing figured out. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a deep dive into the enigmatic and often bewildering world of Trump and Putin. It's a journey you won't want to miss. Let's rewind the clock back to 2016. It was a year that would go down in history, not just for the political upheaval in the United States, but for the seismic shifts in global politics. Trump, the reality TV star turned presidential hopeful, was busy shocking the world with his unorthodox campaign style. His rallies were more like rock concerts filled with fervent supporters who hung on his every word. His speeches were a mix of brash rhetoric and controversial statements, breaking every norm of traditional political discourse. His policy positions were equally unorthodox, often leaving both his supporters and critics in a state of bewilderment. But there was one thing he seemed remarkably consistent on: his admiration for Vladimir Putin. This wasn't just a passing comment or a fleeting moment of praise, it was a recurring theme throughout his campaign. He's a strong leader, Trump would say, praising Putin's grip on power. He admired Putin's ability to maintain control and project strength, qualities he felt were lacking in American leadership. Not like that weakling Obama, Trump would often add, drawing a stark contrast between the Russian leader and the then current US president. This comparison was not just a critique of Obama, but a broader statement about what Trump believed America needed. He even went so far as to suggest that Russia should help him dig up dirt on Hillary Clinton. This was not a subtle hint, but a direct appeal made during a press conference. Russia, if you're listening, remember that? It was a moment that stunned the political world and raised serious questions about Trump's intentions and his relationship with Russia. Now, some might argue that this was all just Trump being Trump, a master showman who loves to provoke and play the media like a fiddle. His entire career, after all, was built on his ability to generate headlines and keep the public's attention. But others saw something more calculated at play. They wondered if there was a deeper strategy behind his words and actions, a deliberate attempt to align himself with a powerful foreign leader. Was Trump, they wondered, deliberately cozying up to Putin for some ulterior motive? Was there a grander plan at work, one that involved reshaping international alliances and redefining America's role on the global stage? These questions lingered, fueling endless debates and speculation. The media, political analysts, and the public were all left to ponder the implications. Was this a new era of diplomacy or a dangerous flirtation with authoritarianism? The answers were elusive, but the impact of Trump's Putin fixation was undeniable. As the months went by, Trump's relationship with Putin continued to be a focal point of his presidency. It influenced his foreign policy decisions, shaped his interactions with other world leaders, and remained a contentious issue in American politics. Whether it was a genuine admiration or a calculated political move, Trump's fixation on Putin left an indelible mark on his presidency and on the world stage. It was a chapter in history that would be analyzed and debated for years to come. Fast forward to 2018 and the infamous Helsinki Summit. This was the moment when the Trump-Putin show truly jumped the shark. Standing side by side with the Russian president, Trump shocked the world by siding with Putin over his own intelligence agencies on the issue of Russian interference in the 2016 election. President Putin says it's not Russia, Trump declared. I don't see any reason why it would be. The backlash was swift and brutal. Even some of Trump's most ardent supporters were left speechless. This wasn't just a gaffe, it was a full-blown diplomatic disaster. And it raised serious questions about Trump's relationship with Putin and whether he was putting America's interests first. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To understand the Trump-Putin dynamic, we need to look beyond the headline-grabbing moments and examine their actual policies and actions. And here's where things get really interesting. On the surface, Trump and Putin seem to share a number of interests. Both men are nationalists who believe in putting their own countries first, even if it means bending the rules or alienating allies. Both are skeptical of international institutions and agreements. And both seem to have a soft spot for strongmen leaders. But scratch beneath the surface, and you'll find that their relationship is far more complex than it appears. For every instance of cooperation, there's an example of conflict. Now let's put on our Russian Ushanka hats for a moment and delve into the mind of Vladimir Putin, and try to see things from Putin's perspective. What drives his actions and decisions on the global stage? Why would he be interested in cultivating a relationship with someone like Donald Trump? The answer lies in a combination of strategic advantage and psychological manipulation. Well, for starters, Trump's unpredictability and disdain for traditional diplomacy make him a valuable asset in Putin's eyes. Trump's unconventional approach to politics disrupts the status quo, which can be advantageous for Russia. By sowing chaos and division within the West, Trump weakens America's standing in the world. This internal discord makes it harder for the US to present a united front against Russian interests, and creates opportunities for Russia to assert itself on the global stage. With America distracted by its own issues, Russia can maneuver more freely in international affairs. Plus, let's not forget that Putin is a former KGB agent. His background in intelligence has honed his skills in manipulation and strategic thinking. He's a master manipulator who knows how to exploit weaknesses and turn situations to his advantage. His experience allows him to read people and situations with a keen eye, and play people against each other. This ability to create and exploit divisions is a powerful tool in his arsenal. And in Trump, he saw someone who was ripe for the picking, a narcissist with a fragile ego. Trump's need for admiration and validation made him susceptible to flattery and manipulation, a narcissist with a fragile ego. This psychological profile made Trump an ideal target for Putin's tactics, and a desperate need for validation. By playing to Trump's ego, Putin could influence his decisions and actions, steering them in a direction that benefited Russia. The relationship between Putin and Trump was not just about personal chemistry, it was a calculated move by Putin to gain leverage over the United States. By fostering a connection with Trump, Putin aimed to create a more favorable geopolitical environment for Russia. This strategy is part of a broader Russian objective to reassert its influence on the world stage. By weakening Western alliances and creating uncertainty, Russia can pursue its interests with less resistance. In the grand chessboard of global politics, every move is calculated. Putin's engagement with Trump was a strategic gambit designed to shift the balance of power. Understanding this context helps us see the broader implications of their relationship. So what's in it for Putin? The answer is clear: power, influence, and the opportunity to reshape the global order in Russia's favor. By leveraging Trump's unique characteristics, Putin aimed to advance his own strategic goals and strengthen Russia's position in the world. With Trump out of the White House and Joe Biden at the helm, you might think things would have calmed down on the US-Russia front, but you'd be wrong. If anything, the relationship between the two countries has become even more fraught in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Biden has taken a much tougher stance against Putin than his predecessor, imposing sanctions and providing military aid to Ukraine, and Putin, for his part, has responded with defiance and threats of escalation. So much for that whole reset thing, huh? Of course, no discussion of Trump and Putin would be complete without mentioning the various conspiracy theories that have swirled around their relationship. Some believe that Trump is a Russian asset, compromised by blackmail or financial ties. Others think he's simply Putin's useful idiot, unwittingly doing his bidding. Now, it's important to note that there's no concrete evidence to support any of these claims, but that hasn't stopped people from speculating. After all, the truth is often stranger than fiction, right? So where does that leave us? Are Trump and Putin friends, foes, or something in between? The answer, as with most things in life, is complicated. There's no doubt that Putin saw an opportunity in Trump and sought to exploit it to Russia's advantage. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest that Trump, whether consciously or not, played right into his hands. But to reduce their relationship to a simple case of puppet master and puppet would be a mistake. The truth is far more nuanced and messy than that. One thing's for sure. The Trump-Putin saga is a story for the ages, and it's one that will continue to be debated and dissected for years to come.